So 7:03. The time is 7:03 p.m. on Monday, February 9th, 2026. I'd like to call this Heritage Advisory Committee meeting to order. The town of Aurora acknowledges that the Anishinaabe lands on which we live and work are the traditional and treaty territories of the Chippewas of Turgeon Island, as well as many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As the closest First Nation to Aurora, we recognize a special relationship to the Chippewas that the Chippewas have with the lands and waters of this territory. They're the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands, and as a municipality, we join them in these responsibilities. We further acknowledge that Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas and Chippewas, recognized through Treaty 13, as well as the Williams Treaties of 1923. The shared understanding of the heritage, cultural heritage that has existed for centuries, and how our collective past brought us here where we are today, will help us walk together into a better future. Let it be. Okay, may I please have a motion to approve the revised agenda? Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the revised agenda? Seeing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Receipt of the minutes from December 8th, 2025. May I please have a motion to receive the meeting minutes? Okay. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes? Call the vote then. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We have two delegations this evening. David Hurd read the Heritage Fund request. Linda, did you say that David would be more than 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, well, why don't you start? We can always approve a continuation.
Okay, perfect. Begin. Members of the Heritage Advisory Committee, councillors, chair, and guests, I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak to you about a very, very special and important project that I've been working on. This project has been over 20 years of strategic planning, from acquisition to curation, showcasing, and now duration. A collection that includes Canadiana, reggae, world music, funk, R&B, classical, and one of the largest, most powerful resources in Canada. Next slide, please. We have seen it do its community magic. I've been told by many community partners, it has saved lives. Next slide, please. Resiliency and motivation is what is our major asset, and some staff have actually said they would use this as an unofficial, historic employee assistance program. Next slide, please. One of our statements in mission value statement is actually use of the collection is asking people to listen with your hands, your eyes, and your heart. We are now curating the collection by cover art, what was lost in the digital age. You'll notice in the mission statement, I'll just a few touch points, very passionate about this, is the authentic human connection to history, lost history. Delivering historic and educational, tactile. This is exactly what young people are doing today. They are going back in time, they're listening to vinyl, they're using VHS cassettes, they're becoming active in analog, what was lost in the digital age. And we have proven with our business plan and proof of concept that connecting with communities is the forte and connecting with storytelling and history. Next slide, please. It has brought many visitors to Aurora. This is an example, Doors Open. Went into the collection, curated a collection for Doors Open. presented it at Town Square, and we had 407 people attend and view the installation. And many of them were extremely touched and triggered by the visual images. No one is doing this. You'll also note, for example, the Emancipation Celebration. In the collection, one of the biggest fortes, which cannot be duplicated, I can guarantee this, is a reggae collection on vinyl, which was shared at that event, that one of the guests actually sent an email to the Minister of Tourism in Jamaica saying, "You are not going to believe what's happening in Aurora right now." That's history. And we've supported the Aurora Museum. Next slide, please. Strategic, yes. Take a close look at this. These are actually excerpts from our very own strategic plan of Aurora. We have expanded opportunities. We have celebrated. We have nurtured. Encouraging every age. We've done that. Recreation, yes. But most of all, we've celebrated heritage, but included music and art, promoted diversity and multiculturalism. This program is exactly what's in Aurora's strategic plan. The evidence and proof of concept is all the community partners who have been touched by the program. The Aurora Legion and the Aurora Farmers Market are a prime example. Is struggling during COVID. The program helped them stay afloat and build record attendance. Next slide, please. The stories are plentiful. This is not me claiming individuals that they were counseled or given aid or whatever. These are actual personas of people came to community events and shared their story of how the programming, either visually, auditorily, was touching them. The personas are very deep. This is more or much a bonus. And you can see partners using terms like awesome. That's the town of Aurora, by the way. Next slide, please. When I talk about identities, by the way, going back a little bit to the last slide, but and award-winning, I want to share you a little story that during COVID, we have a database called Discogs, and I have about 15,000 pieces of the 100,000 piece collection on Discogs. Discogs is seen by 130 million users a year. I've received about 45 emails from about 38 countries, I think it is. One of them was a young man in Thunder Bay who reached out about one particular record in the collection that touched his life as a young man. I have the only copy documented. It's a Canadian release. During COVID, we talked back and forth. It turns out he's blind and autistic. And as we were connecting through talking about music history in Canadiana, he shared with me a link to a CNN news story. This was a gentleman who was the very first person in the world that finished the video game, The Legend of Zelda, from beginning to end. And he is blind. I connected with a person who was a global first through one record in the collection. What could 100,000 pieces do? Next slide. By the way, that quote you see from our mayor when I won the Inclusivity Award. Next slide, please. This is an example of unique programming. I did a cognitive programming on history and soundtracks and doing a speed trivia event at both the Legion and the Aurora Library. We had people come from Toronto, Brooklyn, Whitby. It brought back memories, it shared history, highly successful. We do unique things. The next slide, please. Another example about history. We all know Gordon Lightfoot. Gordon Lightfoot wrote the song Sundown here in Aurora. When he passed away, I was devastated because I've been talking about him for years. And so I did a memorial, went to the collection and found Gordon Lightfoot artifacts. People traveled from all over Ontario, came to the farmers market. And that's sharing history. It is a historical collection. The Great Canadian Songbook on vinyl, thank you, Councillor Gardner, for attending. You were dancing up a storm. We actually got to watch newcomers, Persians, who were sitting on the outside listening to the Canadian music history. And then they got up, and then we had older Aurorans teaching them how to dance to Canadian rock and roll. Some of the visual displays that were shared at that event, sharing Canadian history that we had up, were liked by Alan Cross, one of the most famous people in music. Put Aurora on the map. And I'm proud about the inclusivity, International Women's Day and the reggae and everything. Inclusivity. Next slide, please. One of the things that I don't talk about a lot is the fact of how much PVC we're keeping out of the landfills. My art's a prime example. Those art on the wall, most of them signed by bands that played Ribfest in Aurora. We created history. Next slide, please. Yeah, let's go past that one. Next one, please. So recently, I've had the honor of a new volunteer. The daughter of someone on this committee who recently asked if they could volunteer with the collection. I'm amazed at their skills, but I'm also amazed how they make me feel and how the collection makes us both feel. But they actually came in, and one of the first things they said volunteering was, my friends could really benefit from, this is my space on Bata Court, could really benefit from this space. A lot of them are struggling. You know, I graduated from Seneca College just over a decade ago with high honors as a social service worker. And one of the things I asked my professors was, how do you teach empathy? My professor said, I don't believe you can. One of the first things that volunteer said, the daughter of one of the members here, was, this would help my peers. That is empathy. We've also, when I did the event at the Aurora Library on shared some Black music history, I had a couple of students come up and they heard I had a large reggae collection, which they couldn't find any physical. And they said, where were you when I did my thesis? Okay, next slide, please. History helping education. My wonderful DJ booth that is a design that's been shared, it's at Town Square. It'll be coming out this weekend for Heritage Week and Valentine's Day. 2026 is a very, very busy year for me already. Got many vinyl lounges already scheduled, 3 Heritage Week offerings, 8 dates at the farmers market, community garage sale, doors open, and very honorariums that will come in for that. I'm not whining, I love doing this. And also I look forward to possibly, no, I will be enhancing the grounds of Hillary House this summer with a very special event. Next slide, please. Right now, in the last 3 years, and since this has been 23 and a half years I've been involved in this project, but over the last 3 years, the project has been turned out. Remember I told you it was acquisition, getting it into a storage space, figuring out how we could store the collection in a small space, which I had to lobby for new packing materials, et cetera. And then getting it out to the community to prove concept, proof that it works, makes people feel good, could educate, could celebrate history. Right now, my expenses out of my own pocket on an inheritance and working full-time with no draw, no salary, without office costs and other is $37,140. Yes, I'm going to brag a little. I love Aurora that much. Next slide, please. So we do have hope. We look forward in doing podcasting and looking forward, you know, with grants and social media and everything. But right now, as a sole proprietor, just getting this launched, improving concept, we need structure, we need change. And I also, by the way, any of you have been in my gallery, I have a really awesome gift shop line, by the way, potential. I really do. We look great in Town Square. Next slide, please. So the collection, why is this collection historically important? It's not just the depth, the Canadiana and everything and all the artifacts we're finding. By the way, I found, wait, do you see this? Let me go a little longer because you're going to love this. You want history? I was on the phone with Adam Robb himself, pulling horses out of the collection. Thanks to volunteers. Love your dog, by the way. One of the volunteers, so far we've pulled over 617 records with horses on the cover. So I'm now, because whenever I'm on social media or doing a speaking engagement and talk about the Aurora Horse Show, people storytell. They tell their experiences. That's community. That's like First Nations, right? That's history. So I'm on the phone and I'm digging in a box and I pull out a record and I said to Adam Robb, I said, you're not going to believe it. I just pulled out a record cover and it's got a Flurry plow on the cover. It gets better. This is the same model. I went over and compared it and everything. It's even painted red. This is the same model that's at the Joint Office facilities here in Aurora. So when I saw this, I was like, said to Adam, only if there was a horse on the cover. And then I could share it in the 100 square foot horse mural at Heritage Week. And then I looked at it and went, you've got to be kidding me. He's wearing a little bolo tie. There's a little horse on the bolo tie. Our contest at Heritage Week, by the way, those 100, we're telling people to tell us how many horses are in the mural, just like the jelly bean thing. We have a $250 prize pack already, the first prize, whoever gets it. There's more than 10 horses. So that's an example. I want to close with this on this slide. The Scott Library at York and the Toronto Reference Library are actually embarrassed coming to show their collections right now because they did not upgrade their materials and archival materials, and the plastics and everything that they're in were made of petroleum, and they broke down and embedded in the covers, embedded in the records. However, Dave Hurd, being a sharp cookie, being very visual brain, I started lobbying companies for better archival materials years ago because I predicted vinyl was going to make a resurgence. People thought I was crazy traveling Ontario and going, why do you want vinyl? Why do you want that? We have MP3s, we have CDs. I was right. Next slide, please. Toronto Reference Library, I think it's down to 8,000 pieces. So what we're hoping for in the future, when I say we, there's people joining the surge, is a centrally located hub, community partners will focus on all the extra parts that others haven't, which is the healing part of the collection, which we've proven, the history, the arts, what was lost in the digital age, and a legacy goal of sustainability. Next, please. And I want to share this with you. If I can do 100 horses, imagine if I could do 200, 300, 400. Go to the next slide, please. Imagine if I could do all sorts of murals of different things. We're already curating the collection. No one has done this before. God bless volunteers and people who have believed in and helping us. We are now have at and please, any member who hasn't been there, Councillor Weiss, thank you for coming. Rocco, Cynthia, Bob, John, there's a lot of people here who have seen the gallery. The gallery is now curated on visual arts. So we've got trains and horses and planes and everything. And we want people to be curious, use their hands, use their art, use their heart, and then go down a rabbit hole of history they may not have encountered before. It can be life-changing. We've seen it firsthand. So imagine this. Doug Ford wants to spend money on Niagara Falls, Casino North or Las Vegas North. Imagine going to Niagara Falls with a butterfly, beautiful mural, which I've already done at Pollinator Month. You saw it in the slide, in front of that beautiful fountain. And here's the cool part. Why? Because the Butterfly Conservatory is Niagara, but also we could promote Aurora. It's where this collection is from. And did you know you can travel on the Metrolinx train all the way from Niagara Falls to Aurora, even on long weekends, for the tidy sum $20. When I was at July 1st in Aurora, I went to Lambert Wilson Park, and there was a display from Sudbury North. There was a wagon from Edmonton, Alberta, and there was no display from Aurora. I was ticked off in the beginning, but then I went, look at the positive, David. Maybe that's what we should be doing. Imagine going to the St. Lawrence Market with a beautiful display on all history of Toronto. I've already curated. I would love to be an ambassador doing this. You know I love Aurora. Next slide, please. So lastly, I'm going to close with this. Why I'm asking for support is I got, I believe, 2 years of hard work ahead of me. And one of them is this. With volunteers already, we have worked on a couple of things, a couple of murals, which are pretty close to being ready to go. Imagine a beautiful train mural, and when people walk in, they actually get to hear historic recordings on vinyl of actual steam trains. And then another mural comes out a few months later on trains on recycled material created by students. We're already working on it. I need to keep that close to my chest. This is Canada stuff. This is big. What is rail? I love this. That's why it's copyrighted. Rail. Our history of Aurora was powerful because we had water power. The train came to Aurora in 1853, and we had amazing products that we could get out to the world. I've been at the farmer's market. By the way, I found another Fleury plow. 2 covers with Fleury plows. Marco Ramuno, the town planner, saw this, and he goes, my buddy used to bring this to our house, and we'd listen to it. He was like a little kid. This collection brings back youth, I'll tell you. But anyway, the powerful part about this is Aurora's success, I believe, and I believe with where the collections be, is somewhere in the promenade, and accessible is location, location, location. That was Aurora's success. Logistics. Rail is reliving Aurora's incredible logistics. The train arrived, and we got the product set. Rail is also reduce analog in landfills. That's what we're doing with the recycled project to use the PVC for a major art project. It's a celebration in 2028. In 2 years will be 175 years of train arriving in Aurora. And we need 2 years to plan. Next slide, please. I'm almost done. So this is going out to an ask to not the committee, actually, it's all of Aurora, it's York region, might even be Canada-wide. Right now, as I said, I have been carrying this project for 23 years, and I can't even tell you the value of the collection because you'd be shocked. It's worth more than Victoria as a real estate, trust me. Okay? So we're looking for $30,000 a minimum of sole proprietor for 1 year, $50,000 for 2 years to continue building on the programming. And by the way, when I do the farmers market, when I do a program, it'll be 40 to 60 hours to curate a program. The horse installation, 126 hours has been put into that, to put that together without compensation. Most of the work I do is on honorariums. I appreciate it, don't get me wrong. And the benefits is the quality of life of citizens of Aurora and beyond. As I said, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, what's 100,000 worth? This collection has saved lives, especially during COVID. I know it saved mine. Last slide, please. So our 2-year plan outlook is we are looking to form an advisory board, not-for-profit status, get our article of incorporation together. We've proven concept. We have a space to show the public what we have. Senior team, Doug Natarazi and staff, and many have seen it. They walk in and they go, wow. A legacy contract in place. I won't be here forever. I'd like somebody to take this over. This collection historically needs to be preserved. And again, a central location on our business plan is to be diverse with a refreshment area. I'm preferring a juice bar to coffee because we want to promote mental health, education health, all those wonderful health things, a research area, listening stations. We have about 20 ready to go. And a gift shop, which if it was in a town space, we already contracted. I said, you can have 25% of all sales. Town would have got revenue. By the way, that's a fact. We were negotiating that with Town Square. And last slide, please. The biggest thing, as I said back to the beginning, what Dave's Vinyl Party does, and yes, we will be changing the name. We're copyrighting it. We're doing the legal on it right now. It matches our mission, vision, value statement, is we enhance environments and provide healing, and most of all, history. We preserve history that was lost in the digital age, analog history, what many are looking for right now. I know I went overboard. I just wanted to say, oh, by the way, lastly, The plow thing is so powerful. Finding the plows on a record cover, because the very first library in Aurora was Joseph Fleury in his factory for his staff, and then they let the community use it through the ministers. So I just want to thank you for your time. This has been amazing. And now I can say that this presentation is over. This has been the best day of my life. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a mover and a seconder to see comments? Gentlemen. Oh, thank you, Pickler. Thank you, everybody. In some committees, nobody wants to raise their hand. So, are there any questions or comments for the delegate? John.
David, obviously this is a passion with you, and I mean passion. Okay, and so I can see that you've done this for next to nothing all these years, and it's the passion that keeps you going. But obviously you've reached a time when you say, wait a minute, I need to put some food on the table and get some things to complete what my vision was. Because I always look upon a vision as being a dream with action, okay? So for the action, you need some funding. And so the question is, if you, in your presentation, you've mentioned a certain amount of funding, 30,000, 50,000, 30 for 1 year, 50 for 2 years. And you say, I don't mind how I get it, whether a lump sum or whether I get it in an installments, like once a month, something like that. So I can see your vision. I can applaud what you're doing. And as far as the cost goes, it is peanuts for a 2-year period about what it brings to the public and what Aurora benefits from this as well. That's the big thing. The town of Aurora, if the money comes from somewhere, normally it's from taxpayers' pockets. So as a taxpayer, I would say, is it worth it? And the answer comes back definitely, yes, it is, because of all the people it affects. So I would say I encourage you to carry this forward to the council, because they're the people that would okay it, and I would certainly support you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, John. Yes.
Hey, Madam Chair. Sorry, I'll try to make it as audible as possible. In the work that I do with young people, I recognize the significant need that exists for specifically adolescents to find that somewhere that they belong. And Aurora, being a mom of 4 and raising them in Aurora, it is a very sport-centric town. There's nothing wrong with that. But not every kid in Aurora is interested in sports. And I say that as the mother of a child who is not interested in sports, but she's interested in art and she's interested in music. And she's not the only one. There are some very vibrant art programs in high schools very close to Aurora. There are many, many children, young and adolescent age, as well as young adults, I think, who very badly want to find somewhere in Aurora where they belong. And this is an option for the kids who don't belong at the hockey rink, or who don't belong on the soccer field, or who don't belong on the tennis courts. And there are lots of kids like that. So as a resident, a long time, not as long as many of you, but long enough, resident of Aurora who has raised children and still raising children here. What I love is that this allows all young people somewhere to belong in this town. And that I don't think, from the perspective of myself as a parent, that does not yet exist in this way. So I think from that perspective, it's invaluable. But the other lens that I bring is the lens of an educator, of a high school teacher. And the opportunities for learning and enrichment that a collection like this allows is immense, because I say this as someone who, 30 years ago, we did not want records. We wanted CDs, we wanted cassettes. And now our children are like, why don't you have records anymore? Why don't you keep them? Why don't you hang on to them? Analog is definitely on the uptick. And it's a very niche area of interest for young people. So I think that the interest in this kind of collection from an educational perspective is significant. And it's cross-curricular. It's not only in history classrooms, it's not only in music classrooms. It would be applicable across every subject area because, as David has demonstrated, from a topic perspective, every single subject is represented in the albums that this collection has, whether it's visually or musically. I even look through them and as a very passionate history educator, there's speeches on some of these records, like historical speeches that as an educator, I'm looking at them thinking, I could do so much with these resources. Could I find them online? Maybe. Would they have as much of an impact? Absolutely not. So from those two perspectives, which is through my own eyes, I see immense value for something like this. And I really, to echo what John said, a hockey rink costs a hell of a lot more than $50,000. And I think that investing in a program such as this would have a huge impact. And I always think, because I'm in public education, low cost, high impact. That's what I'm always looking for. And this is low cost and extremely high impact. So I see immense value in a program like this. And I can see it benefiting so many young people that I deal with on a regular basis. As well as those that I've taught in Aurora who've gone on to adult lives and would have really benefited from something like this because they didn't find where they belonged while they were in high school. And if something like this had existed, that would have been different. So I really appreciate what you're offering and the insight that you've provided. And I'm grateful that some kids I know can benefit from this. And I hope all kids can, because they really should, as well as adults. But my area of focus is young people. So thank you.
Oh.
May I respond?
No,
Okay.
but we'll allow it if it's very brief.
It's very brief. I just wanted to also add that we mentioned the promenade. The downtown will change. We know there's going to be a lot of condos and things. People with smaller spaces will not have something like this in their personal space. Something like this would enhance a community area. Like, for example, what's going to be happening to the downtown core. I just wanted to add that, including the youth that are going to be living there. So I just wanted to add that also.
Thank you.
Yes.
Excellent presentation, David. Just when I think that I know and understand this collection and I've been to the space and it wowed me, the presentation just kind of brought it to the next level. It is incredible. Being a vinyl curator myself, well, not even close to yours, I can understand like the dedication it takes to go out. And I'm a big Gordon Lightfoot fan, and I don't even have half the records that you have. I can see value in this. For me, I was like a kid in the candy shop when I went to the space, and I get excited when I see this presentation. So it's welcoming. We should try to figure out a way that this would fit in the community. I agree with Cynthia too. It's peanuts compared to what we're spending on mental health and programming in other areas. I guess we just have to work together and try to figure out how this would kind of fit.
Madam Chair, are we able to come back to further discussion under new business on this?
Thank you, Bob. I think that's a good idea. Can you stick around?
I'd love to, thank you.
Okay. So, we should have a vote on the presentation. All those against? That carries. Thank you, David. You had a dream. Thank you. You can leave the table if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Thank you. Now we have another delegation. Christopher Watts, of the Aurora Heritage Authority, Management Office. Thanks. Just wait a minute, I'm gonna get some water. Thank you. Would you like to start presentation?
Actually, I did have a presentation for everyone tonight, but I wasn't able to get it in under the threshold cutoff.
Right.
So can't show it tonight. So my ask actually is that it's unfortunate because there was about 2 weeks of research.
You'll
And it
come
really-
back, right?
What's that?
You'll come back because we have to follow from.
Yeah, exactly. And I completely understand. So I think my ask to the committee is, I think there is only 4 more readings of this committee this year, this term. So obviously it impacts stuff, and I wondered if the committee under new business would consider discussing the ability to hold a meeting in March. If there isn't meeting fatigue, people's schedules, that I would be more than available to come and present at that meeting. There might be other things in March that might land nicely with that. I don't know.
Well, we can hold a committee and we'll get back to you about that.
Otherwise, then I'll look to bring it to April.
Thank you.
What I did wish to do with this was there's an item on your agenda this evening with regards to 10 to 12 Spruce Street, which is an interpretive plaque.
Yeah.
So given that I have 4 minutes,
Yeah.
I'm happy to kind of crystallize that down so that the committee can use the stuff from my presentation specifically for that item.
Thank you.
Okay. So I don't know if you guys have in front of you that item, but it's with respect to the interpretive plaque for 10 to 12 Spruce Street. And I guess I had 3 major concerns with what is in front of you. One of them is the plaques that I've seen, interpretive plaques, usually refer to the house by name. And in the proposed wording, there is a Wilmot Watson reference, but there is no reference to the house name. Like, is it the Watson house? Is it the Wilman Watson house? I think there should be some understanding as to how it's declared for purposes of classification. Secondly, there is a clause in here, or there is something where staff is saying potentially to be mounted on the landscape stone. I think that deviates from every single interpretive plaque I've ever seen, and I've spent 2 weeks to research in Aurora. I don't understand why it would even be entertained or why it's in front of the committee. So hopefully when you get to that item, council or staff can maybe explain that. But I would like to caution the committee, because it's so irregular, that it seems to fall out of proper guidelines. And that brings me to the last thing, which is what guidelines are being followed for this particular plaque. Because when I ask staff about guidelines, they go back to guidelines from 2011. That's the most current one. And if you look at the guidelines, I actually pulled that out of the attachment from that, it's 3 pages long. There's very, very little direction here. And what I wanted to show the committee was Bruce County did theirs last year. It's like 70 pages long. And what it has is it has a checklist with all the things that should be done to produce a plaque. And what I'm not seeing here is a bunch of these things being satisfied. So hopefully you look at this and maybe even send it back to staff to get some clarity with how this is all being pulled together. And lastly is the procedure with respect to when these plaques are being created in the pipeline. So this one, there is already occupancy of the house. And I understand within inside the guidelines, it says plaques to be installed within 3 months of development completion, which is fine. But the outlier here is within inside of the Heritage Conservation District, 16 Catherine Avenue, decreed back in 2018, so this isn't too far away. There is a clause B that says plaques to be approved by staff prior to the execution of the site plan agreement. So I don't particularly understand what the policy is with respect to these plaques consistently, how some of them are determined after the fact that you've got something in occupancy versus where the site plan is put. But I look at it and go, why can't these things, well, this is being pushed, why can't they meet this criteria? Did this just drop off somewhere along the way? There's nothing within inside of our guidelines or policy that captures this. So there's a bunch of questions, just bringing it to the committee so you're aware, and you can have a fulsome discussion with them. If you need any of these materials at that time, you're welcome to have them. That's all until.
Thank you. That could be an agenda item for.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would recommend this meeting since it's on the agenda already.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
As always, appreciate your input. May I have a mover of the secretary to receive the delegations? And I see. Thank you, Mr. Green. Get this gentleman over here. Sure, see why. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carries. Thank you very much. And we have on our screen Matt Polpanesta, waiting patiently to give us under matters for consideration. Matt is the manager of Parks and Fleet, and the protection and commemoration of Aurora's old trees that hold natural and cultural significance. Really glad to see this on the agenda. Thank you, Matt. Oh, I need to have a mover and a seconder to put this on. Thank you. Okay, Matt?
Thank you, Councillor Gardner, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to bring this memo forward this evening. My name is Matt Polpanesta, as Councillor Gardner mentioned. I'm the manager of Parks and Fleet here at the town of Aurora. And the memo before you this evening details an action plan, if you will, of a project or program that we'd like to endorse that would bring a criteria and an assessment to categorize some of our most important and most valuable trees of cultural and natural heritage significance in Aurora. So essentially, in a quick nutshell, what we'd be doing is establishing a criteria that would allow us to categorize town-owned trees, and then through the attachment that was as an appendix to this report, we'd go through a number of steps to commemorate such, potentially duplicate, protect, hopefully not necessarily restore, but there are different things we can do to protect the lineage of certain species of trees, whether that means replanting or replanting in site, whether it just means commemorating in site, repurposing some of the wood. And there's some interesting concepts around repurposing wood, whether it be through biofuel and different things like that. So this is really a starting point. We've collected feedback already from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. We'll be going to the Environmental Advisory Committee in a couple of weeks after this, and then we'll be presenting all of this feedback to Council in due time for their comments and endorsements. And then we would very much be getting underway and starting with our categorization and archiving of some of our trees. We can probably identify around 15 or so right now that we would like to get started with in various places throughout Aurora. And the fun begins in terms of protecting and sharing the stories of these trees through different ways. So it's very exciting for us. And I welcome any questions and feedback from this group.
Thank you, Matt. We lost a beautiful old bur oak tree in the Yonge and Wellington area due to a development. And we didn't have anything like this in place. So I welcome your work on this. Are there any questions?
Through you, Madam Chair, hi Matt.
Hi.
I'd like to ask, is this limited just to town-owned trees? Or is it open, like I know there's some pretty significant trees that are on properties, like I know there's one on Royal Road and I believe there's one at the corner of Maple and Spruce. It might be on the city property or it might be on the, like it's kind of on the border. Is this open to, you know, any tree if it has significant value or heritage value?
Through you, Madam Chair, it's a great question. Right now, we're looking specifically at town-owned trees, simply just to get things going and understanding how the process will work. Not to say we're not open to exploring private trees. It gets a little more complex in terms of how we can enforce and implement things. I think the first step, if we were going towards a private tree protection, you'd really need the cooperation of homeowners. And we would absolutely look to probably take that first step once we get rolling with this. But it would be very much a volunteer-based partnership, if you will, where homeowners would, you know, look to potentially commemorate something. So yeah, at this time it really is just town-owned trees, but we're absolutely we've had that feedback from the other committees as well. So something to think about.
There's a follow-up to that question. Through you, Madam Chair, the Heritage Committee, whether the tree in the Heritage District, whether the tree is on private property or public property, it is designated as heritage. So that might be a tool for you to use in categorizing these trees. I have one other question. Growing the trees from seeds, would that happen within Aurora, like in the operations center? I know we have a greenhouse there. Is that where that would
Through you, Chair, yeah, we would absolutely look to explore that through our own greenhouse program. We've got a great horticulture team here and some great arborists that are very keen on this project or program. There are also different nonprofit groups that are helping larger municipalities do some of this work. So we would seek interest in some of those partnerships as well.
Before we can shoot that, I have a question. We had an issue where we had a heritage property, but the tree on it wasn't, the heritage designation didn't travel to the tree. So for all these trees that are on heritage properties, especially in the district, we can't protect them unless the homeowner wants to do it. Oh, so,
Yeah.
sorry, Adam has an answer.
Yeah, sorry, I think
Yeah.
I'll jump in, because it's kind of a heritage property matter. So anytime a property is designated heritage, it runs with the totality of the actual legal parcel. So I know may have a tendency to focus on the primary structure, but the totality of the land is designated. So anytime we pass an individual designation or in the case of the district, that boundary is the defining.
Thank you. So it's for designated properties. I don't think this was designated. Yeah, okay, thank you, designated properties. Okay, that helps. Thank you. Yes, please.
Through you, Madam Chair. On the corner of Wells and Metcalf, we've got some trees there that have a heritage designation already. It's on a stone with a plaque. What was the criteria of that versus what you want to do now? Like,
through you, Madam Chair, to be honest, I was not a part of this group at the town when those were designated and when the plaque might have been developed. I can absolutely speak to my superior, Sarah Teenkamp, who's been she was the manager of Parks for many years, so she'd have some good information there. But I'd be keen on looking as to why and what the criteria was.
yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, it's the trees that are protected on that property, exactly. And they're not all on town property. They come close to the home as well. So they're both, they'd be on both, but they've been there a long time.
What was the intersection again?
Do you know that year that, sorry?
Yes, Metcalf and Wells.
Metcalf and Wells, right on the corner, sorry.
northwest corner.
Northwest corner, correct. It's right across from Town Park. But yeah, they've been there for a very long time, that plaque. And I was just wondering if that was the same thing you were trying to do now with these Harrison ones and the other ones, if it was the same kind of coverage that those trees have, just to understand how it all will work together.
We'll have to look into that. Thank you.
Okay.
Just a few thoughts popped in my head when I was reading. Saw the word recommendation, so it made me think, have the town not plant new trees too close to the road so that they die at a young age because of salt. I think we should include most of the trees in the pet cemetery, if not all. I was bothered by the phrase end of life tree management guide. Perhaps we should delete the words end of life and just have a tree management guide while the tree is still healthy, rather than let's manage it while it's near its end of life. At our house about 20 years ago, there was a maple tree, and so it's in the district, Heritage District, so it would be one of under your umbrella. I couldn't put my arms around the tree, perhaps maybe halfway around, maple tree. Hopefully there's a practice at deciding whether a tree should come down based on what it looks like in the spring and in the summer, not just in the winter. I think it takes a really special eye to decide whether a tree with no leaves on it's actually dead or not. And our tree had a couple of dead branches, but my goodness, it had hundreds of branches. So I was going to mention what Rocco said, the southwest corner of Spruce and Maple. There is a plaque on the tree, I think, or used to be, but there's new owners. It was Les Oliver's house once upon a time. There's not a whole lot of tree left, but the sign that was in front of it a bunch of years ago, if not still, said something like, "This might be the oldest tree in Aurora," because it's got a huge trunk. There was a huge willow tree years ago. I didn't see it up close. It was gigantic. It got cut down because St. Max got put in place. And I wonder if you need to put some calling out to the public to help identify trees that would be worth considering, rather than an individual driving around town or whatever. I'm sure there are a lot of trees in Shepherd's Bush that might qualify. It's one of the few remaining forests in Aurora. That's my thoughts.
Thank you, Bob, excellent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question in regards to the interpretive, I think you call them interpretive plaques, or how would that research be conducted to determine the age of the tree, its significance to historical events in Aurora? Is there some sort of mechanism by which there will be metrics in place to determine what makes it a historically significant tree? Or is it simply, yeah, well, exactly, you can't count the rings if you're not cutting the tree. Or will it simply be because residents have indicated that that tree has been around long enough that it should be designated? So I'm just curious about the historical research piece.
Through you, Madam Chair, another great question. So we will absolutely, part of this project, we'll be doing a public call out to gather information. We've got some great historians in Aurora that have a good history of some of our older heritage properties and the trees attached to them. We do have trained arborists on staff as well that will help sort of identify trees of significance and age based on size. Our community arboretum group as well. They have a great sort of database. We also have a private contractor that does a tree inventory for us every year and takes a scientific sort of approach in terms of size, health, risk, and all of the risk assessment criteria. So they're monitoring trees over an annual basis, and I think it's a 6-year cycle. So basically every 6 years, every public tree in Aurora is inventoried and has been for probably the better part of two cycles or so about 10 years. And so a combination of those things will help us build this list. And it'll be very much a living process. I think it'll evolve as we get going, and we are going to be doing public calls, and I imagine that'll be one of the bigger resources we get to kick this off, more productive resources rather. So definitely a combination of those things, but we're absolutely open to feedback from the public, and we'll be adapting as we go.
Yeah, my concern would be, well, I would hope that you would err on the side of generosity in the sense of, if there's a tree and maybe there's a little bit of speculation about how significant it is, that the focus would be on preserving it rather than saying it's not significant enough. Because I guess the concern is, significance is so subjective. So it would be good if there were standards in place to make sure that, for example, a homeowner didn't decide, well, it's not important enough, so therefore it shouldn't be designated because they want to get rid of it or something to that effect. So, I would hope that would be considered as you're building this. I think it's fantastic to have this because trees they're witnesses to the history as it happens around them. So it would be great to have maybe more trees designated than less, if that makes sense. And to just not allow just one or two individuals to say, well, it's not really important enough, therefore it's not going to be designated. So that there would be sort of a checks and balances in place to designate as many as possible, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And if I may, Madam Chair, I just want to say that this wouldn't be a mechanism by which, if something is not listed, it would have an easier time gaining a tree removal permit. I'm the one that signs off on all tree removal permits, and I can tell you that we are, as Councillor Gardner knows, very hard on not removing trees. We are a group of tree huggers in the Parks Department, and anytime unless there's a significant risk of damage, and again, we use a very scientific matrix in terms of tree risks and damage risks. We do not like to remove trees. So this tool wouldn't be something that we'd look to say, okay, was this tree on the cultural heritage or the heritage tree protection? It's not a mechanism in that way. It's more about just celebrating the trees we designate. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think it's fantastic. So I appreciate your answers. Thanks.
Through you, Madam Chair. I know as a fact that when there's redevelopment done on a property, it has to go through the permit, it has to be, variances, everything has to go. And sometimes the trees are looked at, sometimes they're not. If they are looked at, they're allowed, I think the bylaw within the town of Aurora is you're allowed to cut one tree per year on your own property, right? So that doesn't necessarily get approved. There was a instance where there was a house on Steeplechase that decided that they wanted to move their driveway, and by doing so wanted 69 trees taken down.
Wow.
The Committee of Adjustment said no, that they did not need to have 69 trees taken down. They could just leave the driveway the way it was, or they could move it this way. They wanted a huge circular driveway put in. They went to the next level, and they went to the LPAT, and they were approved, even though they were in the town of Aurora, the Committee of Adjustment said no. So then they went at next step, and they were all taken down. So how are you going to eliminate that kind of an issue if one of those trees could have been 100 years old? I walked the property, looked at them myself, and they weren't that bad, but there were some bigger ones there. Like, I don't know the age of these trees, right? How are you going to be able to avoid that kind of a situation happening unless there's some kind of something that goes through with the permitting of the development of that property that designates that single tree to be, wait, we gotta test it first. You know, that's all, like, something in, you know, you have to keep that in mind, I guess that's what I'm saying, as you proceed with your, you know, your instructions and rules and regulations on how this is all going to be done, you know? Because it's still, they'll go behind your back and do it anyway. Not just the developer, the owners are responsible as well.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. So that's part of our tree protection bylaw, and while you are permitted based on the size of your lot to remove 1 to 2 trees per year, it's based on size currently. So anything of a significant size isn't allowed in that sort of free tree removal. That being said, we are absolutely aware of the age and sort of outdatedness of our private tree protection bylaw, and we'll be seeking to update that. We've actually started our research already, and it's on our to-do list within the next year or two. So we will be seeking to be much more aggressive with our tree protection bylaw.
Thank you.
Adam, I mean, I know you're a planner, that's not your role at the moment, but Adam, you're a planner. Do you have any comment to this?
Yes, thank you for allowing me to speak to you through you, Madam Chair. My only additional comment would be, if there is more major, so to speak, development applications, we do undertake a larger TIPP, Tree Removal Preservation Plan. We have third-party consultants on board as well to review the conditions of the trees. And the stronger those applications are, there is honestly always the threat, as you mentioned, of going through the OLT. But having a strong baseline makes that contentious hearing that much more favorable in our direction. And working early with the consulting industry to say, these are the trees that are top tier for protection, and codifying that in the study up front. And so for larger applications, we do have more mechanisms in there.
Even though
Thank you.
thanks.
Through you, Madam Chair, this may be answered by Adam or our guest speaker here. A law is no good unless it has teeth. So I would say in questions, some of the questions that were asked this evening, if there was a significant tree on somebody's property and it has a designation to say this tree is preserved, and then somebody in the nighttime comes along and chops it down, what are the consequences to the owner of that tree? Is there, what kind of penalty is there? And I'll give you an example. Some years ago, when I was with Adam at this time, I think Bob was with us, we went to look at a property over on Leslie Street on the southeast corner, I think. And there was a farmhouse there. And we were going to look at it to give it a designation. When we got there, we couldn't find it. We asked a neighbor, where's this house? Oh, they took it down this morning. And so Adam at the time said, well, we're going to fine them. And I said, how much? $10,000.
Yeah.
I think that was the figure. It's peanuts compared to what they, so I'm saying, what kind of law, if any, is in place to prevent this so people think twice about doing this? That's all.
Who wants that?
I'm happy to. So through you, Madam Chair, it's a great question. There are fines. I don't have the values in front of me. Part of the issue is bylaw often needs to see the act happening for there to lay a penalty, and it's pretty silly because you could, you know, the evidence is right there. The tree would be gone. We have had instances of this where we've required replanting And in many cases, the homeowners are supportive of such. But that absolutely is a valid point and something that we're looking to enhance when we revisit our private tree protection bylaw.
I think we need to, you are gonna look at the tree protection bylaw. It is old. I don't think we should be giving permission to cut down one tree. You know, we should make people come to us if they wanna cut down a tree. I don't know if we can do that, I don't know what the municipal act says about it, but because think about it, it's one tree a year. If you have a large property, it's two. You know, give it 5 years, 10 years, all the trees are gone. So I would like that looked at sooner as opposed to later. Because, you know, maybe we'll look at it, it'll be ready for council in a year and a half, 2 years, but in the meantime, we could lose a lot of trees. So can you speak to Sarah, is there anything that we could do to do an update in the interim? Because it is supposed to be a tree protection bylaw.
I will absolutely speak to Sarah about that. And we can absolutely discuss that.
Would you please? It's you know, some people don't understand about trees. And especially now, we're losing so many in the wildfires. You know, I would like it, and if we want to be the leader in this, maybe no other municipalities are doing it, but maybe we can become the leader.
For you, Madam Chair, when we had that big storm go through.
Oh, right.
That's a prime example right
a
there.
lot of
How many did we
trees.
lose there?
What?
Lots. Your area was, my tree was
This is a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it was,
Maybe
yes.
2022.
a rainstorm, wind storm.
Many in Shepherd's Bush too.
Oh, yeah, my tree too, I got it, your streets were all,
A tree looks strong, but it can be affected by so many things. Sean?
Through you, Madam Chair, just to bring to everybody's attention, and this is in the area of poetry, okay?
Poetry?
Poetry,
Okay.
yes, in the statement, to me, it brings together all that we've spoken about. And it's the statement, the opening line is, I don't think I could ever see a poem lovely as a tree. That says it.
Whose poem is that? I can't remember.
Hmm?
Whose poem is that?
I don't know.
I don't know, but it was very
Anonymous.
famous. No, it was very famous.
Look it up. Look it up.
Matt.
she's on it. Cynthia's on it.
Crazy.
Who was it?
Joyce Kilmer.
Who?
Joyce Kilmer.
Joyce?
Think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree. And it continues, but
I've not, yeah, thank you.
Joyce Kilmer.
There you go.
Matt, I have a question, a little story. I was doing my door-to-doors for one of my elections and was in the old part of town, not your, oh yeah, it was in your ward. Anyway, there was a tree there. It was so dark. And for some reason, I just had to hug it. I mean, I'm not really a tree hugger.
Oh, yes, you are.
You are if you have a tree.
Well, I
You,
did,
Madam Chair.
no, there was
It's a good
something
thing.
that compelled me, and I made my son get up early the next morning. And we went over to the property and the tree had been cut down. Now, it was cut down because of the roots. It wasn't a large property, the tree was quite close to the house. So in a case like that, in the bylaw, maybe in a case like that where it has to come down, that wood must, we need to save the wood. Or try and do something at least with the wood. And I know that the senior center is doing did at one point all kinds of, maybe it was from the Emerald Ash War, I don't know. They were making like cheese pods and they were gorgeous. We gave one to the TD Bank. for sponsoring the concerts. But wood like that, and maybe the person that cut it down realized the value of wood and, went on to use it, but I don't know, something to think about. Please, add it to your list, Matthew, when you talk to Sarah. Very interesting discussion. You're going to the Environment Advisory Committee as well?
Yes, yeah, in a couple of weeks.
I think that Bob had a really good point about renaming this. Please. Of course, when trees die, it would be nice to maybe we can plant some seeds to save some branches or something, but this, we want to protect through their lifetime. I know you got it, I'm just faking.
End of life sounds like aid.
Pardon?
It sounds like medical assistance in dying for the trees, like.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Like
Yeah,
palliative care for the
we
trees.
want them to live and if they have to die, but please change the name. Yeah. But thank you for the whole idea of this. Sarah. Any more questions? Rod, you want to weigh in on this at all?
If I may,
You may.
just a couple of things. The motion speaks to older trees as opposed to the bylaws that we have in place now. And a lot of discussion has been around the existing bylaws and how we protect them. I think that's perfect. But I think the importance of the motion is really to identify those unique and special aged trees that are getting close to the end of life and that should be celebrated for that purpose. I think that was a big purpose. So as often happens, you start looking at deeper things and deeper things.
Thank you, Ron.
Bigger
Yeah.
and bigger, and sometimes you get paralyzed by the amount of work that's in there. So I looked at the motion. And the other thing that came up, and thank you, Linda, for reminding me about that particular group of trees. I think that in this, that also should be some policy around the tree. So for instance, when we designate a house property that has restrictions and also has costs and other issues around it. So I think it really behooves us to take a look at what that designation means and who's responsible for that. Because I recall someone saying, well, the tree is designated as historic, so you take care of it now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the intent, I don't think, of this. This is really about a celebration of natural beauty of a tree and those that survive the length of time and era.
And the history.
Thank you, Ron. And I see that Matt is taking a note on that. So, yes, both are good points. Thank you
Through you, Madam Chair. Ron, I was just trying to also, other than the bylaw thing, was if it hasn't been recognized, before it's recognized that someone doesn't cut it down, even if it was a big thing, that was, before, once someone says, oh, we know it's there, you can't touch this one anymore. I was just like, until they get to that point, someone could just cut it down and if it's in their backyard, they can do it. Even though I know you have to have a certain diameter for sure, but you know what, they'll take the $5,000 or $10,000 fine to get rid of it. That's another problem.
Sure, it's a communication thing.
Absolutely, or they don't care to pay the price, they'll pay the price. So. Everybody should come back.
Could you look into what the most amount of money we can charge? Because, as, John, teeth, we need teeth, but teeth is always money. So could you look into that as well? Thank
Absolutely.
you. Will we get a report back? Will you be reporting to council? How is this working?
So we'll be going to council sort of with a summary of this feedback and our rejigged draft of the tree management guide, I'll call it. And once we've brought to council, we want to get rolling as soon as possible. So we don't intend to return to the committees potentially after a year or two. Once the program's gotten rolling, then we would come back and just sort of debrief and sort of speak about the wins, the losses, and the changes to what we've been doing.
Well, this is the intention to have this done for this term of council?
I think we could probably have the database in a pretty complete form by this term of council in terms of the proactive measures and how we go about in terms of the commemoration and the repurposing and all of those other aspects of the guide. I'm not sure how far we'll get with that. We're going to utilize the help of some students this summer as well. So they'll probably be a good.
Will the guide, the tree management guide, maybe that's not good. Will that be passed in this term of council? Just the actual policy?
It should be. So when we bring our report to council, we'll be bringing a fairly finalized and polished version of the guide. I don't know in terms of, I guess, getting approval or endorsement. I'm not sure what we need to, because it's not a formal policy or bylaw or anything like that. Like, I think we can just present it to you and tweak it as we go as necessary, but it'll be endorsed and carried by you guys. So
it'll be a policy passed by this council.
I don't know if it's an official policy or sort of a practice. I'd have to speak to our legal team on that, what we would classify it as.
Yeah, practice doesn't have the same weight, but okay, you'll discuss it with Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay, we're finished our discussion. Thank you, Matthew.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? I'm sure Bob would be in favor. Thank you. Now we have the heritage one.
Yes.
Okay. Could I have you in a second to put this is site item 7.2 in our agenda. It's about the plaques. A mover and a seconder to put this item on the floor.
I think it's about class 7.2, it's about vehicle. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the correction. And you're going to present this? Yes, okay. Yes, to put this 15375 Yonge Street on the table. I need a mover and a seconder. I have Cynthia. Thank you. Okay. Adam.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a permit application for a property located within the Part 5 Heritage Conservation District area. The general scope of work for the property is mostly interior. It's a change of use to accommodate a single physician's office or clinic in there. And as part of that, yes, there is a multitude of changes to the interior of the building that will be occurring, of course, as part of that change of use. But generally speaking, the exterior alterations to the property, which are listed under the bullets of the Heritage Permit Memo, include items such as new roofing and shingle replacements, including any necessary plywood repairs where sagging is present as a general upkeep best practice. New signage for the healthcare office, which he has provided, I believe, still a black and white. I would like a colored version from him, but he has confirmed that it would be raised lettering and no backlighting in conformity to our promenade.
Backlighting?
No backlighting. Raised lettering with no backlighting in conformity with our promenade streetscape guidelines. Benefits of the heritage character in that way. The current structure is painted. The bricks themselves are painted. I did precisely. Yeah, that's the one.
Nice. Yeah, thank you.
And so I did have a meeting with Patrick Campbell, the owner. He's a very busy guy for sure, but we talked, or I mentioned the fact that there is the option if, as a best practice, you could redo the paint or restrip the overcoat of the paint and get the fresh bricks exposed.
What did he say?
There wasn't much advancement.
And he doesn't have to.
Unfortunately, in that route. And we would have had the Heritage Grant to support him there, but he just didn't seem to take off out of his interest, which is fine, I suppose. But so that what he's referring to then is to repainting the existing facade to retaining a neutral kind of creamy color. He's quoted as Benjamin Moore, OC
It's
45.
white.
Maybe a little lighter tone, but still trying to keep, I guess, a great scale. Yeah.
Not great. Definitely not great.
Sure.
Big cream. Creamish.
And then lastly, there's alterations at the rear of the property as well, in terms of some old rotting wood at the rear addition, as well as some geometric reconfiguring of some of those rear non-heritage windows.
Thank you. Questions, comments, questions?
This might take a bit.
Okay.
Board and batten siding, is that wood?
We can require that.
Okay, it was just a question, because you just said board and batten siding. I didn't know if it was gonna be metal or.
You would. Yeah.
Why the metal roof? Like, why did he decide to go with metal there? Is a metal roof part of our list of
So that's
materials for that?
Let's go to the page you're referring to, the site plan here. Because I'm reading through shingling it, and I haven't had.
Where do you see
So
that?
over the garage?
Over the garage is
The garage, it says new standing seam metal.
Yeah, so over the main line is the same shingles, but the rear technically has a non-heritage feature.
So that's not an issue. Okay.
Is the roof made of metal shingles or is it made of one sheet of metal?
Don't know what's that.
Like a
It's like
standing
tiles
seam.
almost, like.
And I mean, are they separate tiles?
It's what it looks like.
Oh, not like a standing seam metal.
It's not sheet metal.
You have the floor?
Yes. I'm fine with discussion, that's fine.
No, maybe you make your points and then we'll go on.
The biggest, and we just kind of went through this whole process of the trees.
Yeah.
He has so many trees missing on the site plan. And there's so many trees that have to come down for this parking lot.
The parking lot, so it's still under review, even for a requirement for any variances. So I should say, this is our heritage review, but it will not preclude the potential of, first and foremost, a variance review for parking requirements, as well as then going through the actual building permit and site plan process as well. Whereas if there is more issues uncovered through that, we still have the agreement process and things like that in play to finalize details. That's correct.
This
I
is
would
all,
Is this the zone commercial?
It's zoned as part of a promenade, downtown shoulder, where a single office
Sorry,
position.
I can't imagine this is.
So it's actually not a rezone.
What if it was a multiple practitioner office?
So it could escalate to a rezoning.
I can't imagine any doctor opening a single, like,
Clinic versus a single office position.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I just found a lot of error, like the site plan itself. I always felt that it should go to committee adjustment first and then go to heritage, and I guess.
We've always got
That's right, okay.
Yeah.
So with the trees, the other thing is that the sign isn't indicated on the site plan either.
the state sign, so
Yeah.
something like that would be under delegated approvals to Marco due to its minor nature. What we're looking for specifically is comments on, location or generality of it. And understanding that it can be erected after the fact as we go through it on the minor approval of the director's heritage. Okay, that's final through financing.
Is there a policy or whatever for signs on
Minor works
in the,
that don't
but is
affect.
there a policy about what they're supposed to look like?
Well, yes, so two questions. So the delegated authority bylaw gives a lot of authority to Marco for kind of these minor elements. And then in terms of what the sign should look like, we have prominent design guidelines for signage as well.
Okay, so they'll be beautiful.
Correct.
I was just hoping to see more of a complete site plan, like missing the sign, just to have an idea of the location. And also the trees, because the parking lot is basically, I think we're probably cutting down like 3 or 4 trees to make this parking lot, and they're significant trees. And these are also heritage trees, so it would fall under, heritage permit. I guess we can't really talk about like parking, because I looked at, there is an exception zoning note that says 114, which is the exception zoning note, that no added parking is allowed on site, and the back area should be left as, I guess, a play area when this was zoned. And now we're going back and saying we can take out the backyard and make a parking lot. So
Correct, yeah, it's a change.
I don't know if that's our jurisdiction here, or we can't comment on that.
So the history of the property is it's had multiple zones and also multiple uses on it, right? So the former use, whether it had a play space at the back, and that was permitted, and now there's a new use coming in where it's a doctor's office. And he is allowed to reconfigure to fulfill his requirements and needs as a doctor, right? So that's what that's about in terms of comparing apples to oranges on the zoning categories. We've had, quite honestly, a pretty wide range of permitted uses as part of a promenade. So you're just going to see intricacies where just different uses required based on the nature of the business that moves in there.
I guess the rest of my questions are kind of related to, they're not relevant to heritage, so I'm not gonna bring those up. I would like to see a revised site plan with the trees.
Sure.
If something could be resubmitted.
Yeah, and I wanna, if I can ask specifically to others on page A1, I guess. So we're seeing the 3 trees on Maple Street. Right?
Yeah, so on Maple Street, if someone pulls up Google Views, like I walk by here all the time, right? Yeah, there's one main tree that's missing right here. Like there's 4 trees, I think.
Oh, yeah, this one, I think that's.
Because we can certainly have our arborist go out to confirm, and this is
Like, look at this, this is in the middle of the parking lot there, right? Like, that's a significant tree there. And then there's another tree, if you go this way, like he has one tree here, but there's actually one tree right there. So this is this tree, and this tree's missing on the site plan. And his driveway is literally gonna go right here, that this tree has to come down, right?
Oh,
Do you want?
I was like, oh, it's on my shoulder.
Do you want to send this to?
I think we have the same one. I just want to confirm.
This is the.
Yeah, I get what you guys are saying. I mean, what's been submitted is that we will have our arborist go out and sign confirm, and when we have to build, like, I will be honest, we're pretty early days in getting this application. We want to get it reviewed early here. So that's an absolutely valid point, and as we go through building permits and potential minor variance as required, and even a site plan agreement, even if that's required, this is something that will be
Addressed. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's a good catch.
Sure, thank you.
Just a few minutes here. I worry about the color.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the landscape of the, and by landscape I mean the frontage of the other homes that are on that promenade. The only 2 that are white look like they haven't been updated in a very, very long time, and they're further north.
Yes. Yeah.
All of the ones that are in proximity to this property are all those same homes. So for it to be that, and it's quite a stark white, it's not a gray,
Sure.
it's white.
I did get the impression, sorry to interrupt something.
It's okay, go ahead.
When he was speaking, he had a lot of flexibility on color.
Okay,
I don't have to confirm that with him, that's why I even said
yeah,
white or gray somewhere in there. I know
Yeah.
he quotes that Benjamin Moore
yeah,
color. I do think there's a level of play there, but recognizing that if there is a color preference out of the committee, that's something I can relate to.
well, I think it would just be better, I think, for it to be more consistent with the other homes, especially given that it's across the street from Hillary House. I just think it's not in keeping with what it's surrounded by. And again, if you look at the street, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 more properties until you get to the whiteboard ones. And the whiteboard ones look like they're quite a bit more dated in terms of maintenance than the more contemporary ones.
Do you have any rule around that?
In terms of color, so like I said, like in a true best case scenario, since this property has already been repainted, it would be phenomenal if it
Go
could
back to
be,
painting the brick,
it
right?
could be straight.
But he's not interested.
Seemingly he's not, I'm still gonna call tomorrow type of thing and say it's still on the table.
He was here, I don't know.
He had to leave for hockey or something.
Oh,
Was there the gentleman that was here?
Yeah, he was. So like, I think there's a willingness to continue the process. This isn't necessarily done, and since it's just an opportunity to get some really valuable feedback here. And that's still my preference. I'm not gonna lie to just
Yeah.
go to the original. But-
Through you, Madam Chair, wouldn't the stable neighborhoods originally have in the colors in the board?
We have colors through the
Yeah.
district plan as well.
Right, then he
We
should
have a
try to-
color palette.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be my main concern.
Oh, yeah, right, it's part of the district.
It would be quite a stark difference between that and then Hillary House and then Our Lady of Grace Church across the street. It just would really
Sure. No,
stick out, and maybe that's what he wants, but it would be consistent, I don't think.
yeah, that's right.
The other,
We do have white as a color in the district, by the way.
Yeah, it's considered a classical class.
of course, no, I understand, but then you look at the
Context.
landscape that it's going into and
Yeah, so we can suggest, we
Yeah,
can make, we
exactly.
can suggest, okay.
And then the other question I had, so, and again, I don't know if this is within our purview, so it's not. There's a refreshment area in the sign. So is it a cafe?
Interior layout?
Yeah, because there's a staff area which would presumably be like where they would make lunch and have lunch.
So
or
it's
whatever. It says refreshment and it looks like,
Yeah, me too.
it looks like there's like an area to sell things. Yeah, I'm looking for the picture.
It's right here.
It's on page 43 of the agenda.
I don't think that's part of my heritage.
Okay, that's why I was asking.
And again, the short answer is no, but I'm also just checking.
Curious, it
I
says
think it's right
display, it's 104, yeah, it's 104 refreshments, display and coffee bar. I have never been to an auction office with a coffee bar, I mean, it's significant.
You know what?
I think it is.
Because it's not a spa, Botox kind of a.
Well, and that brings me
I
to the
think
next
it-
question, which
It
is,
could be a
cancer.
it's skin cancer treatment, which is
Oh.
often those medical spots.
Yeah, more of a relaxed atmosphere.
So, anyway, it was just a question.
Oh, yeah, that's cool, good to know.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I saw it, that
And
was
yeah,
more.
the other thing I wanted to point out too is the sign is on the drawings.
It doesn't have writing on it though, right? It just
No,
says-
no, but
Yeah.
maybe you could do the
Yeah.
quick jump.
That's not
Quick jump, don't go lazy.
No, sorry, I meant on
Oh.
the site plan, this is show where it's going.
It's location from an aerial perspective, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
on the site plan, it's to show me where it is.
It's,
on page 45.
it's just this.
Oh, it shows.
To Russ's valid point,
See this.
he wants to know where it's gonna be located precisely.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah, and I can't speak on behalf of the owner, but I do imagine it being sort of visible from beyond to a degree, but that's just my best guess.
Is it gonna have an accessible entrance?
I believe off of Maple, it could be accessible, yes. Could be accessible off of Maple.
Can we, it's not where the garage is, I mean, parking?
Yeah, and that's.
Yeah.
When you have the back off Maple, those would be accessible.
Got a ramp. Okay. And you've got, there's a loading, a landing and a ramp.
It is
And a
accessible.
patient entry, okay, so that, maybe that. Okay. I mean, it's great that he wants to do something on the street.
Yeah, and to you, Madam Chair, there's still some comments to fix up or to work with, one of which is the color choice. And not to speak collectively, but from what I've heard is maybe something a little bit more consistent with not even the current, but just the surrounding and maybe a blend of what works best
Or
there.
something a little bit less sharply different.
Let's not start.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I'm still gonna talk to him about whether the
Okay.
original bricks are completely out of the equation or not, but.
Yeah, no, it's
Both of
not
us.
the look he's going
But
for,
you're right.
he's not gonna.
And the location itself is not Plaque. The sign, I should say.
I don't know whether it'd be worth it to go over to expose the brick, maybe we should go for the color.
Yeah, it's fine.
From a construction standpoint, sometimes when you tower wash or try to make that paint, you're gonna make it look
course.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, but let's just.
I was trying to go from the ones that we had a search grant program, get someone that's the best in the business. You have your potentially 10K, but
Even some of flowers.
yeah. So that's that. So the big ones here are color, trees, and location of signs. You can take that
I'm
back.
good with that.
Appreciate it all.
Okay. We're done?
Not yet.
Well, okay, we have a reverse, all those in favor? Opposed, who do we have on screen?
Chris.
That's Chris.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. You just became this huge picture on our screen. Okay, so we can go on to our 7.3. I'll need a mover in a second to put this on the floor. Thank you. Who hasn't moved the motion yet?
Chris?
Chris moves the motion. We'd like you on the record for the meeting. Okay.
Or I'm just having trouble hearing you all of a sudden, the
Oh,
audio.
You're going to be the mover of the motion, if you don't mind, because then we have on the meeting record.
I'm happy to move it.
Thank you. And that's all you have to use, okay? Adam, are you?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm prepared to speak to it. That's
Okay.
good, Madam Chair. Yes, so this next item is pertaining to proposed plat wording for 1012 Spruce Street. This is something that the committee would have been familiar with through the heritage permit approval for that property, which was undertaken last year. And as it stands, the owner is, yes, it's the winter, but they still need to do final grading and landscaping for the project to truly be deemed complete. But recognizing that from our side of the stand, we want to be proactive, in terms of finalizing the wording. The wording you see here presented is entirely and completely draft. It has been vetted through the museum. And again, the focus was specifically on the content itself. The name of the property and the name of this potential plaque would be the Watson Family Home and Dairy Industry in Aurora. That was something that was discussed amongst
Yeah.
as well.
We weren't even sure if it was a dairy though.
Yes, we're confident with the dairy.
Dairy.
And like I said, the museum has vetted things like dates or facts as well to confirm the ownership as well as the use. And then just the last sentence of it all, I think that might serve as brief for the town as well. So the language is there, and again, this is initial, but it's in terms of expectation and timing, we finalize this. I go back to the builder because it's their obligation as part of the condition to pay for it. And we work on something that works best. And on that note, I want to also propose to the committee what you may think works best. There's options available here in terms of location and siting. The report does mention perhaps the potential of a rock in the landscape feature, which is around town, but I can appreciate something a little bit more elevated is elegant too. I only do note that engineering has noted a bit of a tight radius there with the existing sign, stop sign pole, as well as I believe there's a no parking pole, and dually attached to that is I think another pole, a sign of some kind. So just to be aware of that context there, but we have options available to us, no matter.
Through you, Madam Chair, are you talking about one that would look like the one in front of the armory?
So the one in front of the armory is an official provincial plaque.
Right.
Those blue provincial ones are quite large.
Yeah.
This one would be something smaller than that, and something that's a little bit more intimate, quite frankly, in terms of being close to someone's residential property. If you want it to be visible from the sidewalk, a quick read, a quick acknowledgement of some of the history on the site.
Do you have one around already?
Yes.
Is there another address that we can look at?
Yeah, that, I'd just like to look at
Yeah,
one, that's all.
There's,
Yeah, lots.
oh, I thought you were pointing. Yeah.
No, I.
There's the Pioneers Bridge right here from our
Yeah.
farms. Yeah. I can give you.
Yeah.
You have one, I
Someone
just-
give one to me.
We have, the Madison Hall Farm. That's a picture of the.
Highway dealership next to the, in and around town park. There's I think a couple around there. And in front of the Church Street School. There's one in front of the Church Street School. Right.
Oh, yeah, the Wells Street School.
Excuse me, Church and Wells Street School.
Okay, all right, now I know what you're talking about. That's the.
Wells, Church also has the provincial one. But yeah, Wells definitely has the smaller town one.
And that's the one
Where
you're
the
not,
church goes to.
is that what you're talking about, that one, like,
Yeah.
was it, well, okay,
Yeah,
then I'm
exactly.
fine, I just want to visualize. what-
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, 3 maps.
Well, Wells Street School.
Okay, perfect, I'm good then.
I don't think I'm making.
There's also another one at Yonge and Wellington, right in front of the bank there. Everybody's talking about that. There's one at Yonge and Wellington. There's one at Lions Park in the district.
Oh, okay, so
Again,
Wow.
actually,
Okay,
these I'm just spitballing here, so I'm just,
thank you.
I'm trying my best, but.
I'd like to, I have one thing through you, Madam Chair. I love the wording out of it. It was actually
Yeah.
great. You nailed it. I think I would prefer to put it on a pole as opposed to rock, especially in the winter. It's probably gonna get covered and likelihood of it getting moved or something, then maybe a pole might be,
Yeah, I
more
agree.
visible too.
yeah.
Yes, you remember, Chair, I agree, and I did have that in my mind from the beginning here. Then when I went to the site more recently, I was aware of the other signs there. Not to say that they'd be in direct conflict, but I will have to confirm with engineering that it is applicable. And then in terms of a landscape rock, another good example is the pet shows, right? Where if you get a fairly sized rock and you do it well, it can look good.
Well, how
But
big, yeah, what, so how big a rock are we thinking?
That's what we don't, like, I don't have that information today, right? But if we are to view samples, I can forward that back to the committee. Right now, this memo was really to lock in on the wording,
Okay.
right? And then perhaps I can bring another memo forward that strategizes on the location, the detail, materiality, et cetera. But if we're generally on board with this wording, that's a big milestone ahead of the curve in terms of getting this thing ordered or up and running and proceeding to the next level, be it materiality discussion.
Right.
Chair, I like it.
I don't know how you.
No, I like that.
Oh, we're excited.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, it's really.
Okay.
That's the one at Wells, if you want us, that's the one at Wells.
Yeah, that one, yeah. This one right there, yeah, and it's behind the post, it's in a parking. That's the one I know.
Those ones are the provincial ones, they're a little fancy. Yeah, something a little more tame. a little more-
Just like.
This is just my 2 cents as well. I like the wording that's in the program, having seen a couple of her earlier versions.
Yeah.
And I guess if a pole fits, then it's easier to read if
Yeah, I
you're walking by, but I'd be okay with the rock. There are some rocks on the same block, at Catherine and Spruce on the southwest corner.
Right.
They don't have any plaques.
That's,
Not that they couldn't, because it's the former Methodist Church manse.
Oh, we would need a big rock for all these words.
Yeah,
Yeah, again, I defer to pet shows, right? Like, if they do have a bit of a front yard, if there's a rock there, and thankfully there's a sidewalk right on that street, right? So the idea is, of course, like, they may propose, I'm just gonna put it on my house. Like, no, I don't think that's valuable to anyone, quite frankly, because you need to see it from the street. So that defers to a rock or a pole.
Okay, so
Right.
I was just.
And so, yeah, the pole, I think, is a preference of mine as well. But I'm just cognizant of some of the other potential visual distractions, but we'll play with them on site.
Okay.
Not too concerned.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I can't help but put my English teacher hat on. there's one part that has to be corrected.
Okay, what is it?
So where it says before eventually becoming home. You would say before eventually Aurora Dairy taking over ownership or transferring ownership, but you don't say becoming owned by the Aurora Dairy.
Okay, so
So that for sure has to be
before-
corrected. So you'd say like before Aurora Dairy taking ownership, something to that effect, or ownership transferring to Aurora Dairy.
do we need that?
I'm sorry?
Being eventually become owned by Aurora Dairy is what you're-
Before eventually becoming owned by the Aurora Dairy, it's just very awkward wording.
Eventually,
Dairy or-
Coming with being.
Change it to
I would say-
My English is not as good as yours.
I'm with you. I would probably change it to before ownership being taken over by Aurora Dairy in 1934.
Taken over,
Taken
over
over
two
is-
different things.
Yeah, taking over is a little too strong.
Ownership taken over
Ownership.
means they've taken over, they bought it.
or eventually,
Or you could say before
Or eventually being owned.
before being owned by the Aurora Dairy in 1934.
yeah, before eventually being,
Do you need the word
That's what it
eventually?
It's becoming is the issue.
Becoming a
To being.
Yeah, you don't need the word.
You don't need the word eventually either.
no.
Or replacing becoming with being.
Before being, yeah,
Before
that's what I said.
eventually being owned by.
Before being owned by the Aurora Dairy.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
What did you use
Becoming
for
becomes
becoming?
Yeah,
And eventually is.
okay,
There you go, see, you're better English teacher
I've
than you
been
thought.
thinking this.
I'll read it just for utmost clarity.
Yeah, I just wanna be clear, I said it first.
The dairy business history on the site will continue as the dairy buildings were leased to Cousins Dairy, 1928, then acquired by Marcos Dairy, 1930, before eventually
Being owned by the
Being
Aurora.
being owned by
Yes.
the Aurora Dairy,
or
1930.
eventually,
Being
Because
owned.
eventually indicates that
eventually.
over time it changed ownership again. And I did look up cousins, because typically there would be an apostrophe, but it's not.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you need the word eventually?
So we're taking it out.
You can take
I
it.
left, I read it there.
You
Yeah,
can take it
yeah,
eventually, but you
yeah.
can leave
Before
it.
being owned.
Yeah, because we already have all the,
One last time. Leased to Cousins and then acquired by Marcos before being owned by Aurora Dairy.
Yes.
okay,
By
we're good.
the Aurora Dairy.
Yeah.
By,
I spelled it
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit.
it's
Oh, no, I just wonder if that has to be there.
Yeah.
Because the Aurora Dairy is like, is it I don't know, is it a collective? Or is it,
It was
is it the
corporation.
equivalent? So then you don't need the, because you didn't put the before Marcos, or the before Marcos.
Sure. Yeah.
Cynthia,
Yes,
a rose by any other name is still a rose.
that is correct.
So
okay,
I get the idea.
okay.
You can tell us the tree one again too, because I like the tree one.
And that's what
It's
you
about
had.
Cousins Dairy,
What are
that's
they called,
right.
Aurora Dairy?
Aurora Dairy,
Yeah,
No, with that.
Well, is it the?
and then in fact, what you also have to do,
because it depends who you're talking to. I bought milk there, I bought a quart of milk, skim milk, 29 cents.
At the Aurora Dairy, Aurora
but you would say the, because you're telling them where you're going, but
Dairy.
its title is not the Aurora
Where'd
Dairy.
you get it?
It's just
Aurora Dairy.
And which means that
Okay,
when you write the Aurora Dairy was operated, you say Aurora Dairy was
Because
operated
that's their
by.
form.
Right.
Understand.
Yeah.
It's-
And you did it correctly in the last line, so.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
New or dairy, right, it should be consistent, okay.
And it will have a name, obviously, the Watson Family House and Dairy Industry, which is what was.
When are you getting this done?
Plaque?
Yeah. the plaque.
Yeah, so honestly, now the plaque wording is finalized with a couple of tweaks. We want to get it to we want to see options in terms of what a plaque would look like or what a rock may look like. Size, right? How many
Okay.
words we're fitting, things like that, and talking to actual producers.
We don't have a budget for this,
It's all funded by the developer.
and that budget is
Yay.
It's
super, get a really nice plaque.
Finally
Make
get
it
around to
gold.
one.
Make it gold.
Okay, I'm gonna call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed, that carries, okay. Now, we're actually going to informational items, we do not have any, do we? National items? No, this is, okay, so we can go to new business. I know you have something, John. Okay, John, go for it.
Okay, I think we're all aware of this, but Victoria Hall. Everybody knows where Victoria Hall is, I guess so. And I guess you all agree it's a heritage building.
Yes.
Right? Now, I see that in tomorrow's committee of the whole, there's an item on there, 9.2, that talks about the council voting on a significant amount of money to improve the hall so it's usable. But I say this, what I'm disappointed in, this is a heritage building. We are the Heritage Advisory Committee. I've never seen anything come past this committee here to ask about what's going on in Victoria Hall. So now maybe somebody else has, but it's a lot of money. And I'm sure that we would have had some input had we known about it in some detail, what the intent was to bring this up to spending a lot of taxpayers' money.
I agree, and I agree with you. I think Adam is going to, but we're worried. Okay, so your issue is, why did it come to us? As a heritage committee.
I can speak a little bit.
Okay, well, you could, yeah.
Yeah, so generally speaking, and again, from my understanding, because I'm not directly involved in the facility side, right, and what's going on with, the facilities work on the property, but the way we would come in the picture is through the heritage permit review process. That's been known and understood by the facilities team. Whenever they're ready, you need to have finalized plans, you need to have heritage impact assessment, you need to give us quality to review what you're doing. My understanding, and again, I definitely stand corrected, councilors feel free to confirm as well. But I believe there have been closed session discussions, and I don't believe there's a final determination of an end user.
No, there is not.
So what I believe the facilities group is looking at is as an overall costing of just bringing Victoria Hall up to I'll even say like a baseline case or a bare necessity case, so be it. And again, that may not be the perfect terms because they would know the ins and outs of what their scope of work is. That's my understanding, is the shell will be the shell. And if there are alterations at that point, we can get involved.
We come here.
We have to come here through a heritage permit to detail the exact alterations that are being done to the physicality of the building. Because what's doing right now would just be, could be utility work, it could be general maintenance, it could be simplistic or just bring it out to.
It's two issues, and that back part is not original, so that's.
Yeah, I guess what I do question as well is the amount of money.
Right.
Now, I say, I'll ask somebody who's in construction about, what do you think about the amount of $2.18 million? It's a lot of money just to complete the shell and make it attainable, people get in and out. You could build a whole new house for that if the property itself is belong to the town, surely. I mean, that's
Well, but John, what are our choices? It's a designated heritage building.
Yeah.
That's what we're starting.
Okay.
So, do you wanna weigh in on this?
If you're asking me normal
Construction
costs
part
are,
of you,
and I'll actually be delegating on this
Okay.
tomorrow as well. Because I found it shocking as well.
Yes.
I agree with you. Typically, a renovation of a commercial unit, or a commercial construction renovation, we're gonna be around $300 a square foot, which was in line with the original 500,000.
Right.
The two issues is that the cost went 3 times as much. We're only talking about 1,500 square feet. That's actually the size of the building. The other point about heritage though, and Adam, you said that, it's gone through basically just numbers right now, but we actually saw a conceptual design which actually changed the whole back to this very modern looking curtain wall.
Yeah.
Which I assume was a very hefty cost to get that design done without talking with anybody. And I think that's John's frustration with the process. Going back to the use of the building, which it's disappointing that it's been over a year that we don't know where this is going. And that's not your fault, that's.
We were waiting until we wanted, Ron, I stand corrected, we were waiting until the army got set. And what was gonna happen with that. Before we wanted to make any decision on this.
Through you, Madam Chair, what do you mean until about the Armory was settled? Settled in what way?
Oh, well, at that point, it was going to be vacant and we didn't know what it was gonna, what, was it gonna become a restaurant? Because this building, who knows what we're gonna do with it.
It works out what's gonna be there already.
But let's see
But
what
it's
happens.
for,
But let's see what happens. I believe that was the idea, that we would just.
It's all behind closed doors though so far. That's hard.
It's hard to determine budget when we don't even know if it's gonna be a yoga studio, an office.
Well, we don't know either. So.
There's gotta be some idea though, like, there's gotta be an idea of what you wanna do with it. Like, what would be an ideal scenario or an ideal tenant?
Well, I think I can say this, just put your hand up if I can. It's good, I think we're gonna be going into closed session to try and figure out.
Don't get
What they
yourself into
use.
trouble.
no,
No, but we haven't decided what the use is gonna be. This report is just on fixing it up.
through you, Madam Chair, it's gonna be, the word that's out is a restaurant. I'm just saying, that's what that's what's.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'm not,
Speculation,
It
we can't,
is.
we can't base.
No,
Well, you say that, the word restaurant, Hillary House was put up, maybe it's gonna be a restaurant. There's the Armory, that was a restaurant, and there's another restaurant right now. So if we look at Victoria Hall, there's another restaurant. This word restaurant, why is the word restaurant always coming in? Is it because somebody is pushing for it, or I don't know.
I don't know, but the report, I don't find this is a heritage building. I think we have to do what we have to do to maintain its integrity.
follow protocol.
I think we have to.
Yeah, if I may too, like,
We can't let it fall down.
yeah, like, and then just on the protocol note, right, like, I, on our level, so to speak, at the heritage permit level.
Yeah.
Whatever is being discussed tomorrow night, I guess, is a capital authority level.
That's serious.
Just, and I apologize, it's not exactly my domain, and maybe using the wrong language, but let's just say that's capital authority. Budgeting for the capital authority council then, in closed session or out, can say, this is what we're going with. An architect or a facilities team, whoever we retained, can prepare those drawings. And then that's where they're in for full detailed review of that with the heritage review.
And then it would come back to here.
It has no choice but to come back
It
there,
has to come back to.
because we haven't seen a permit at all at this level.
Yes. 901,
So moved.
thank you. I didn't know, may we extend the time of the meeting? Sure. 1 second, thank you, got a mover in a seconded, all those. I don't know what to say, John. No, we have a mover in a second, okay, I'll go. Sorry. How
I
long?
think he had a.
Half an hour, so yeah, dropped in, okay, dropped, some trash, hard. What? I don't know, there's just 9:30 hard, or whatever they say. Okay, okay, go for it.
So I was surprised to read what's coming to council as well. That's a lot of money. I was surprised to see the drawing for the back. I know the back of what's on the back right now looks kind of silly. I'm not sure if what's proposed is aesthetically, archaeologically conforming to a heritage building.
But that would come back to us, right?
Correct. Yeah, but in terms of, there's a meeting to talk about stuff tomorrow and so on. And so I'm going to lead into Mr. Hurd's talk that David, I believe, is looking for some funding from whatever source, if possible. And I think also a location that might be more accessible to a larger public and more visible than Unit 4 on 6 Vanna Court. In my head, Victoria Hall, I don't know if the size fits, but it's a heritage building. He's talking heritage stuff. For goodness sakes, the town does not need another restaurant in that area. You can get food at the Armory. It's competition to what the town already has in place. There's a cafe in Town Square. I don't think it would be fair to any restaurant proposed for Victoria Hall to put it there. It's also in the middle of a neighborhood.
John, I'm going to stop you because, John.
But
I understand your point.
my connected point is with, if you're looking for a purpose, two councillors at the table, for Victoria Hall, what Mr. Hurd is proposing has heritage connotations, historical, and it's right beside the museum and Town Square and the library, and it's on a transportation route close to Yonge Street.
Okay, I hear you.
But if we are going over there instead of Victoria Hall, another location might be one of the town's empty buildings on Yonge Street. The town bought a block, and there's some stores that are no longer stores. I think the town's storing some stuff in some of those buildings, but David's also prepared to pay rent to the town. And he's only talking short term. So if a bigger business came along that might be to displace him in the long run. But so I've just moved the talk a little bit from Victoria Hall to the delegation.
Oh, the delegation. And interesting. It's John,
So I'm just-
I could see how on the caller you are. Don't disagree. But as Adam said, anything heritage, because we can really only talk about anything heritage, we'll have to come back here.
I understand that, but what kind of influence do we have? Now, we're a heritage advisory committee. So if they choose not to hear and listen, that's too bad then. Otherwise, if we made the rules and said, this is what it's going to be used for, our recommendation, and we believe we stand by this, it would be different to say, well, we think this is what it's good for, and they just say, no, we don't think so. It's up to the council to make a decision.
Yes, and unfortunately, our power was taken away
2 terms.
a couple of terms ago, so we can't even make motions. So there we are. That's unfortunately the situation that we're in.
It is what it is.
But you can't do something against her, like with the Heritage Committee.
Yeah, no building permit could be issued
We
from
can't-
heritage,
Yeah, we can.
from a heritage permits perspective. And a heritage permit, a complete heritage permit application will require detailed drawings, detailed elevations, and a heritage impact assessment.
But they could
Most
still,
applications at that scale.
and the council could still oppose, even with all that stuff in place. They could say, go
Yes.
ahead and let's do it, right?
The
Even if they
ultimate-
don't have everything's there.
The ultimate authority is always council's, yes, that's great.
I think we better leave this for now. Because yes, hear you.
I guess the bottom line, of course, is always dollars. When I look at this and say, wow, they could, I think, do it for a lot less. Hillary House, for example, had ERA come in, professional people, and they did an assessment for 10 years. It cost $1.1 million to do all of these things. Then AHS went to the town and said, would you like to buy a Hillary House for $1? The answer was no, because then it would be the town's responsibility. There was questions about, if we did, we maybe change it into a restaurant as well. Okay, that was came through. Somebody went
I
with
remember that,
this.
yeah.
No. So in the end, Hillary House or AHS got $156,000 towards this $1.1 million to do that. And I'm looking at this $2.1 million. It just seems, and Hillary House is twice the size of this one.
Also a National Historic Site. It's a National Historic Site.
Anyway,
If they put a $2.1 million on it, there's a plan.
Well, we'll listen to the discussion at council tomorrow night. Sorry, there's,
I have new business that we're continuing.
Yeah,
I'm just mindful
okay, we've got,
Time.
thank you, new
of,
business.
was there anybody else with new business?
No, heritage, I got one minor, 30 seconds.
I'm good.
I might, depending on what you say.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna make mine very short and to the point. I talked to Adam about this. There's been a lot of focus by Adam and staff about trying to improve the facades and unsympathetic, let's call it, facade changes on the downtown core. Adam has been trying desperately to try to work with bylaw and certain departments to try to get these things rectified. Now businesses are kind of, I've had comments from other businesses saying, if they can do that, why can't we do that? And now it's kind of getting, and not to down your efforts, Adam, thank you very much for putting everything together and working with this, but this is the mechanism that we should be using as heritage to go after, not go after, I shouldn't say go after, but use this as a tool to implement facade enforcement in the downtown core. And I'm hoping that maybe we can work with yourself, Adam, and Heritage, and maybe we can work together to, identify these areas that still remain before we kind of lose control. I know everyone's been talking about downtown revitalization. I feel like there's something that is immediate that we can do now.
Absolutely. No, you, Madam Chair, very well said, Rocco, and appreciate all your help too in identifying properties. And we hit the ground, I guess, was it summertime or October time, whatever, fall. And there were a handful that were very compliant. Right away, we wanted to respect the rules, fix things up, didn't know about it, but we're fixing it within a matter of a week or two. That was great. And the other side of the coin is there's others that are just not as interested, quite frankly. And then there's a couple levels here. First, maybe I knocked on their door, just explain the situation. Then the next level, okay, an officer had to come with me, just because we're enforcing a bylaw issue. And then if it escalates beyond that, the bylaw officers then potentially can result in a court order or whatever the case may be. So this is where we're at, where there's eager actors that are happy and have made improvements, a handful. But there's still signs out there that maybe they never applied for a sign bylaw, maybe.
There's one glaring example of
Sure.
that, but so if they don't adhere to the sign bylaw,
Yes,
you're saying we would have to take them to court?
that's my understanding. So the CBO, our chief building official, who oversees his building
Yeah.
official staff, as things escalate and if there's continued non-compliance, it escalates ultimately to the level of the court system.
Well, you know, maybe it would be worth it if there was a particularly egregious sample.
The issue that I came across was one particular business said, well, we want to paint the outside. Can I go to Heritage and what can I do here?
Yeah.
And I said, I'll say this, and I nearly choked when she said this. It was the Caruso sign. And I said, no, I said, you cannot, you know, I beg you, please don't even bring this.
Is it Heritage Building?
It is, and that's
Caruso sign.
almost entirely different from like a sign permit. I know the name is sign, but that's a historic
Okay.
sign. Whereas sign permit is like your front.
Okay.
This is a massive heritage alteration. Sorry.
Okay.
She used the argument saying, okay, fine, but can I do this in the front and some sign? And I said, no, and she goes, well, why is ABC able to do this?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not.
And
I had it from a hairdresser down the street north, not your country look that.
Have you been involved in this?
yes, very much so. And admittedly, I was involved early, and I think for the willing partners, 10 out of 10, very experienced.
Okay.
But once it starts escalating, it just goes to a different avenue with the bylaw officers, building officials. I should say.
Okay.
But the one thing I wanted to highlight as well was the fact that, you know, a number of them started applying for sign permits all together, right? So that's something that will be building staff are more diligent on because sometimes they don't know. It can be a bit of an education campaign that you need to apply for a sign bylaw permit to begin with. But the other very inconvenient factor is that there's been some signs there that have been there for decades and they're now considered grandfathered. So they cannot be taken under law. That's generally a
How many years does it take to be grandfathered?
I forgot off the top of my head, but they've been there for over 2 decades, quite frankly, right? Some of them.
Yeah, so mainly the ones that we focused on were within 1 or 2 years are definitely enforceable.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
What if she turned around and just painted that Caruso thing without anybody
We'd
seeing?
have to take it to court.
What's going on?
She kind of understood after the significance of Caruso's and then she agreed right away that no, that's not a good idea to. Because it would be devastating to lose that. But there's even the Coke mural that's right in the alley. You know, that's one that's out of sight. But you know, you never know. So if we don't kind of control it now, so I'd like to put this on new business.
Yes, definitely.
You know, maybe we can work on the wording and maybe I can help with, and you know, identifying. You know,
Identifying for sure is that's kind of how we started, which is great. I'm only cognizant of that. I know it's escalating to the next tier of legalities and court systems being in play, and I don't know what that looks like. But we can arrange a meeting with our building officials directly and our CBO. Our CBO may quite likely have to take a report to council as well to even consider.
Could it be on the next agenda as well? Could we?
I don't know what the timelines are, but we can let you
Just an update.
As an update, I don't see that being a problem, but in order to actually have a report that says we pursue action against street 123, right? That would be a little bit more direct, and that may have to come to council at some.
Okay, but give us an update, because you're obviously on it.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And there has,
Thank you.
I'm not trying to pump our tires, there's been minimal success, but there has been success. And now this is just the next stage.
Okay, and thank you very much. That's very important.
Yeah, I didn't know.
there has been success and that's on the town that they actually took. They actually did follow through with everything and I know that,
Okay.
like I saw some signs come down right away.
We designated, I think, 14.
15 and.
Can we do that, the one in the box, so 15?
You're very well protected. And the sign permit, this is a bit of a gray area too, but if you haven't applied for a sign permit, that's not even a heritage. That's just like,
The bylaws.
you broke the law. You
Okay.
need to apply for a sign.
Okay.
So there's stuff like that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna pause because I'm gonna respect times.
Yes.
No worries. Through you, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Be very fast. Heritage Week planning is done. I'll say. So you're all formally invited to attend, if you didn't already know that. It's on Family Day from 10 until 4.
Yeah.
At Town Square. We have some very illustrious people presenting.
Okay.
It'll be a good day. It'll be a nice way to get out of the weather. So if you didn't already know that as members of PAC you were invited, consider this your formal invitation. You're invited. We hope to see you there and tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all that's it for me.
Yeah, and piggybacking on, so not to take too much time, but credit everyone to volunteers and everyone who's put together
Yes,
this
thank
working group. And then David Hurd is actively involved, Bob is involved, we have Jackie Stewart.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, quite an array.
John McIntyre.
John McIntyre, of course, and John Green from the Aurora Historical
Thank you.
Society too, and all that ends. But what
I
else-
volunteered, by the way. They didn't say you will.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there, but what I was gonna say is, yeah, just, this is the home stretch. We have bulk advertising done, social media blitzes, and we're gonna be in the paper this February 12th. Again, Cynthia had a great article a week or two back. So this is the home stretch, so just have at it and we'll see you there.
I got away with just doing the landing.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So
We got 10 minutes.
we have 10 minutes. Want John, I mean, I call you John Bob. Bob, I should know your name by now, yes.
I'm not sure about anyone else was going to speak about David's delegation. I'm hoping, so this one is kind of short. I think and I hope David will present to council. In my mind, he's looking for a better location, even if it's temporary, and funding. So I don't know the right labels in terms of money, but I see recreation related, culture related, for goodness sakes, tourism related, which is, in my mind, seems to be having trouble getting off the ground from a year ago. Heritage Fund, or if anybody at the table knows of possible corporate sponsorship that we want to latch on to save the younger generation from mental anguish.
Yeah, well, it's a big issue. When David presents to council, it would be really great if some of the speeches or the support that was presented tonight, if you would consider coming to council and support.
Be there.
When is it? You know?
We don't,
He's not presenting.
Oh, it's not presented. Oh, okay.
oh, no, it's not.
Oh,
But you will let us all know. Be there, but because there was so much support around the table, it would be, it's easy for council to say no to things.
Maybe more than 5 minutes.
Well, that could always be extended. But I will tell you, David, the shorter the better. Just because, I won't say we have short attention spans, but yeah.
Just I don't know if, I'm sorry.
I'm done.
I don't know who would answer this question if possible. Is there a mechanism by which to have a young person present at council?
Sure. They need to make a delegation request. It can be done. It's easy, it's online.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
that would be amazing.
Well, okay, so the reason why I ask, and I'll keep it short, and I'm gonna speak very openly,
Okay.
teenagers can't vote, not until they're 18. So as much as I would love to live in a world where, you know, politicians care about what 14-year-olds say, I think we all know that idealistically they care, but when it comes down to the reality, they're not voters, right? But they are soon to be voters. And what I've learned in my 20+ year career as an educator, focusing on civics and history, is that kids that care about municipal issues become adults who vote. And we know that that's an unequivocal fact. So this, I would hope, I'm saying this because I wouldn't want a young person to put time and effort into planning something for people to just be like, they're there, so cute, and then ignore them. I would hope that they would be heard and given the same level of respect and attention as an older person.
We have had youth delegates.
Okay, perfect.
And I believe that council is appreciative and polite and encouraging. Ron, am I correct on this?
100%.
Excellent. Okay.
So, yes, somebody should,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
Yes, too bad we don't have more.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
You have one, yes.
Very, very quickly, one
Okay.
last announcement through you, Madam Chair. Some of you may have heard already, but Parks Canada has come down with some pretty unfortunate news. They're shutting down our National Historic Site website across the entire country. So on that regard, I've forgotten the exact date. I think they've quoted spring. So a very tight window here.
I thought it was sooner. I thought it was like.
Oh, yeah, it could very well be late March, pretty much, yeah. But keep your eyes out for that official date that it closes. But from our side, I've already saved every Aurora property portfolio. I have it all. I'll share it to the group. I'll share it to whoever wants it. It's saved in our networks here in the town. As our database within that Canada repository. But within, let's even call it the next 2-3 months here, that webpage is going to be evaporated.
There is some groups, there are some groups going in and saving all
Yes.
the information and hopefully if they get funding, they're gonna be able to
Relaunch it.
launch it.
That's
Heritage Guide Canada.
But the Canadian government is wiping that out. It's gonna cease to exist.
For no reason?
They're quoting like technological difficulties.
Yeah, because the
Okay.
site is too
It's all about
outdated.
the money, folks. Chris, you have a comment?
It was outdated is what they're saying. Yeah.
So I have all our
There's
Aurora
security
ones.
issues.
I'm recognizing.
You always cue to something else.
Yeah, you always have the sidebar map.
Stand up. Stand.
Sorry, one of the slides that I wasn't able to present was that. I'm glad that you did bring this up as a thing. I was kind of surprised it wasn't an informational item. CDC's already come to the rescue, and actually I put a screen grab in here. There was a gentleman that took, I think he said a weekend. He took AI, completely rewrote the entire thing. And it's up and live, and the Aurora ones are on his. There.
What's the link?
Yes, it is that one. So you don't have to worry about duplicating the effort and saving it. So
Thank
all
you.
of these things are GIS dated with maps and everything,
Oh,
everything that we,
terrific.
yes. So that effort has already been done, but the site is down. So even though they were talking about some kind of data, if you go to it now, it's already gone. So
I was on it on Thursday.
it is gone.
It's fine.
heritageguide.ca is effectively the site that is now in place.
I'm gonna send
And I
everyone that.
definitely encourage you to do it because all we can, Aurora ones are up.
That's good. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm just gonna hit reply all to Wendy's email.
Do we have to talk about,
Thank you.
having a meeting in March at this point? It was asked by that delegate.
No, we will, first of all, there's a lot of logistics that go into it,
Understood.
so Adam's heard, and we can do this by email.
Yeah, I think it will ultimately be escalated to the deputy clerk.
Yeah.
She'll send a response to the deputy.
I just want to know what that's.
So, yeah, for staff.
Why don't we have a meeting in March?
Every
Every other month.
Yes, this was.
Because I thought we're December. You're right. We don't need enough.
No, we don't need enough. I agree. I think there's been a lot on our plate.
This, and Bob will know this, there was a new, it was started by Councillor Bob. But in Mayor Dawes' term, to do away with committees, and John went to the town hall to sign up. Bob, you're not, you know what I mean, sorry, I apologize, Bob went to the town hall to sign up for the Heritage Committee. And he was told, it's gonna be one. So I spoke with May, I think it was May who was, and she sent it out to the Heritage Committee and people, Gardeners Lobby, and lo and behold, thank you, Bob, it was a chance that you just, the timing on it. So, and that was kind of the start of reducing the I'm gonna say power of the committees. But here we are, and we're gonna do the best we can with our great staff.
Absolutely, Linda. Oh, there you are.
Well, I was pointing at her, but yes, Linda is, I don't know how Linda, see how Linda figures out how to do the minutes for these meetings, because everywhere. But thank
Adam, have a safe drive home this evening.
you. Where do you?
Old Perry.
Motion to adjourn. I need leader and seconder, everybody, all those in favor, nobody will be opposed. David, Christopher.
Thank you.